Hello everyone, Erin from the Impatient Gardener. Another beautiful morning here. It's just been so still, which is really quite nice. Very beautiful here. Really good for getting all these jobs done in the garden. So that's what's happening today. It's a work day, ponytail. I have so much to do in the garden. So once again, we're going to be multitasking during this Q&A video, but we need to do some updates first. So let's start in the important spot. Here's the banana. It is it is spending some time outside during these sort of mild days. Behind it is the bird of paradise. That bird of paradise was in the urn last year, and I've been overwintering that as essentially as a house plant. But this is the banana, you guys. Here, let me go stand by it so you can actually see what we're talking about. I mean, can you believe this thing? It's insane. Now these leaves look pretty tattered, and I think they'll be coming off, but I can't believe it. It's insane. This thing is insane. So there's your banana update. Let's go take a peek at the ferns. Well, as long as we're talking about giant plants, let's go look at the ferns. So I think our last Q&A video was maybe 2 weeks ago. And I don't know, these were probably 3.5 feet tall at that point. Let me just set my coffee down here. Okay, let me go stand in there so you can get a feel for how tall these ferns have gotten so far. Again, insane, right? I mean, so, well, 5 feet tall for sure, and then some. So yeah, and just standing straight up as arrows. So yeah, the ferns are happy, although we haven't had much rain. So if we had had rain, I think they'd be even taller. We might as well do a quick update here. You will notice this is a different hydrangea, as is this, than used to be here. The Incrediballs have been moved, and in their place are Haas Halos. I hope Haas Halo, personally I like the form of Haas Halo, which has a lace cap, better than Incrediball, which I used to like, but it just is a little aggressive. So this is a little bit more subtle. It's just a change in taste of mine, but they have been flopping really badly for the last couple of years. They're nice plants though, so they've been moved, and in the next video after this one, I think you'll see where they've been moved to. But I wanted to show you the 2 new Haas Halos, which I had to really hunt down, but great hydrangea. Check out all the poppies. I have to get in there and thin these, but these are all breadseed poppies. Some self-sown, certainly some sown by me, but they're everywhere. So I will go in and thin these. Oh, well, you know, maybe today if I have time. In case you were curious, we have reached the unmitigated disaster portion of the gardening season. So this is the time of year when I am just working fast and furious, with my goal mostly being to get as many plants in the ground as possible, because we've reached this sort of max plant capacity where plants are sitting around, and so you have to water, so you spend time watering, so you can't get plants in the ground. So any project that gets a lot of plants into the ground is a good one for me to be doing. Now I'm still holding off on planting most of the dahlias, because I'll tell you that our soil temperature is still not that warm. Plus, as long as I have other things to do, it's not going to slow those dahlias down. They're all in pots, so it's not going to slow them down at all. They're going to keep growing in their pots. So they might as well do that while we wait for the soil temperatures to warm up, just so that, you know, they are mighty happy once they get in there. So here's what we're doing today. We got to do a little bit of cleanup in here. Let me show you the 2 things I'm going to do. We're on the front patio bed here right now. So the Virginia bluebells are done. You can tell they're done. I mean, for me, they're done when they start. Oh, nice shadow there, Erin. When they start flopping like that, then they're kaput. I can't have things like that flopping all over the place. So I have started pulling them out. They're super easy to pull out. I just break them off. So they're spring ephemerals. They come back just fine. They don't need all those leaves to do their thing. And then their roots just stay there and will come back next year. But the other thing I'm doing in this bed is, this is the problem with aliums, right? Is this sort of unsightly foliage. And if it's hidden behind other plants, you don't notice it. But you certainly notice it when it's just out there. So These are purple sensation alliums, which is a reseeder. Most of these have reseeded themselves, which is fine with me. But you can tell the foliage is already starting to get a bit brown at the tips. And I do this every year. This is, this is a probably controversial thing. I'm going to go in there and cut that foliage out because I don't want to look at that foliage and I need to clean this bed. So that's what I'm going to be working on while we answer some questions here. That and the bluebells. For the foliage, for the allium foliage, I'm using this is a Garrett Wade tool that I think was really meant as a harvesting tool, but it works for cutting off stuff at the bottom too. So just a quick banana comment. There were lots of banana comments, I think, after the last update. Someone said, I can usually get 3 years out of my banana before it gets way too heavy. My last stump was over 100 pounds before I gave up. In my experience, it grows much larger than the previous season. I can see that. I mean, that is a heavy thing to lug around just in that small pot. And to be clear, that pot is not where it's growing. The only reason it's in that pot for right now, we're just trying to get some roots growing on it so that once it goes where it's going to go, it has some stabilizing roots, because those things have basically no roots. So it's just to get some stabilizing roots going so that it doesn't just immediately fall over when we plant it out. Obviously that pot is way too small for it to live in. And in fact, it's not going to live in a pot. It's going in the ground this year, where it may get huge. We'll see what happens. This is also the time of year where my tools are all over the place. Okay, so someone asked a question during the last Q&A. I was working in the garden out front. Someone said, what type of pitchfork were you using in the Q&A? And it is this one. This is the Sneebor border fork, ladies fork. I kind of hate that ladies thing. Something like that. It's a Sneebor tool. I really like the Sneebor tools. Do you need Sneebor tools? No, you absolutely do not. They are expensive and they will outlive you. But I do find pleasure in really good tools. And once it became clear to me that this is probably not stopping gardening anytime soon, I thought it was okay to invest in tools that are really good and that I really like using. This is a really good one. It's great for weeding. I mean, this is really what I use. It's too small for other things you might use like a bigger fork for, but for weeding, oh, this is perfect. I really like this one. I'll put a link in the description for you. There's a lot of places you can buy Sneebor tools from now. You never used to be able to. I mostly buy them from Garden Tool Company. Really nice people, family-owned business. They're from Texas. And then Garden Air, that's H-E-I-R. Another small business. They sell a lot of Sneebor tools too, and they are out east. I haven't gotten any work done yet, but I have to look at the questions. Does anyone know of a good glove that's touch responsive? So because in that Q&A video last time I mentioned I love my gloves, but I wish I could use my screen with them. This is a funny story. I shared this on Instagram too. So these are touch responsive gloves. Dirty, but touch responsive gloves. So these are by a company called Cool Job. And the story with these is that like 6-9 months ago, out of the blue, I got a box of gloves in the mail. There was no note. There was nothing that came from Amazon. I had no idea what this was about, but I tried them out. I'm like, oh, well, these are nice. I don't know where they came from, but they're nice. And then I got an email from the company and they said, hey, we sent you some gloves. That was it. No, please share them, whatever. Just, we sent you gloves. I said, great. I love them. They're fabulous. They sent me some more gloves. I have been up until this point a huge fan of the Atlas nitrile gloves. Those were my gardening gloves. I don't like to buy super expensive gardening gloves because I lose them all the time. So these are affordable and easy to get, but the other ones were not touch responsive. So I mentioned that in that video 2 weeks ago or whatever. This week, what shows up in the mail? 2 touch responsive gloves. So these work really well. They are touch responsive. I use, just for sizing purposes, in the Atlas nitrile gloves, I used to wear a medium, which was just less than snug on me, but I kind of liked it that way. These I have to wear a small, and the mediums are way too big for me. So I definitely wear a small in these Cool Job gloves, but I really like them a lot. So anyway, they're not paying me or anything. I will put a link below to these gloves in case you're looking for them. The only thing I would say about them is that they're they're a little thicker than the other ones, so they're a little warmer on your hands. But I mean, there is no perfect glove that I've found anyway. Let me just start working a little bit on this so you guys can actually see what I'm doing while I talk here. So some of these leaves that are like standing, well, actually I'll take some of these. It does look a little weird when you've got a cut off leaf right there, but the ones that are laying down, those have to go. Like, we're not even gonna have a conversation about whether those have to go or not. In fact, I don't even see a flower coming out of this one, so sayonara. So one, I mentioned in that Q&A video, I think it was the Q&A video, that I was just having such a problem with the erosion on the bank of that garden, what I call the entry garden now. Sounds better than driveway garden. And one person actually had a really good suggestion, which was that Siberian irises might help stabilize, planting some Siberian irises, which would certainly like that spot, might help stabilize that. I actually have Siberian irises right over here in this garden, right there, in front of that boxwood. And you know, I don't know if they do a lot for the garden there. I thought that's actually a really good idea. So I think I probably will move those over there because I think that's a pretty fabulous idea. So once again, you guys always have such great ideas. So I'm not going to spend, I mean, you could spend a lot of time on this and like really pick out, you know, the leaves really finely. That is not what this is about. This is rough and tumble gardening here. So this is just, in fact, a lot of what I do in the garden right now is primarily about speed. There's too much to get done in this garden for like little detail things, especially for things like this that are not, this foliage isn't going to be here for long no matter what. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time messing around trying to get this foliage just perfect. It's just so that, honestly, so it's cleaned up enough so that I can actually plant in here. Because really, I can't even see what I'm doing with all this foliage here if I don't get rid of some of it. So planting here, which is the next step, mostly dahlias, can't happen until I get that done. So someone wrote in that, hang on, coffee. Someone wrote in that Q&A video, they said that their problem with, I love iced coffee. Their problem with pre-sprouted dahlias is that their perennials get bigger every year, so there's less room for their dahlias. That's not really a pre-sprouted dahlia problem, it's a perennial problem. And that's why in this front bed, I don't have a ton of perennials in here. I have a lot of open space for dahlias. So when you're gonna grow your dahlias in the garden proper amongst other plants, you really have to kind of plan for that a little bit and leave room for those things because yeah, there's not going to be room for them eventually. But I think it's even more important if you're planting dahlias like that to pre-sprout them, because there's no way that a tuber is going to get enough light. I mean, the sprout from a tuber is going to get enough light if you've got it mixed in with a whole bunch of dahlias, with a whole bunch of perennials. We should drink more coffee. Because there's just not going to be enough light, because by the time those dahlias are coming up, those perennials are going to be quite large. So really important, that's part of the reason why I pre-sprout my dahlias, because since I do plant them in a garden with other plants, I feel like in order for them to even have a chance at growing, I have to have some sprouts started so that something is there, not only so I don't like lose it in there, but also so that it has a little bit of size on it before it's, you know, has to compete with other things. Here's the apples. They haven't moved yet. I still don't know where those pots are going to go yet. So they're living here right now. But you can see that they're leafing out. And in fact, this one is actually has flower buds on it. And they're, you know, they look better than they did when I planted them, which was just sticks. So anyways, you can see that they're doing their thing here. I'm going to underplant these pots. I have a few sedums I'm going to put in there just to have something to decorate those pots, because that's pretty, it's not exactly the most attractive look, but so far so good with those. But the question somebody had about those was, I wonder if the columnar apples could be planted in raised beds against a fence and wintered over there. So the answer to that is 100% yes. It's actually a perfect use for them. And a great way to do it. And they're also great for, you can do really cool things with these. I've seen people plant columnar apples as a diagonal along a fence, which is a really cool idea and really interesting. So there's all sorts of fun things you can do with these. And you know, at the end of the day, they're the same as an apple. So, I mean, I did have some questions about like cooling hours, which by the way, I should have included that. Chill hours for this is, they say 800 to 1200. Most apples, it's around 1,000, and I would assume these are like these because they're still apples. Other people asked about like things like insects and stuff like that. And honestly, I think if you live in a place where you can grow apples without a lot of problem in general, you can grow these. They're no different from any other apple. Well, I guess genetically they are, but they're still an apple. So everything that applies to a regular apple applies to these as well. I have to say, I do love these Virginia bluebells, but it's really nice getting them out of here and unveiling some of the plants that are sort of, you know, hidden by them, including this onion right here. This is alium fistulosum. I have 2 of them. Got this at a garden sale at a garden. It's a garden that is actually on the Garden Conservancy tour this year, and I forget the date. It's in Brown Deer, Wisconsin. It's Dorothy Danforth's garden. She grows those all over her garden, and if you are look at the garden, you don't even have to be a member of the Garden Conservancy to go to their open days. I have featured her garden on the blog before, several years ago, 5 years ago maybe. I will put the link to that blog post. It's stunning. It's stunning, you guys. It has, she's a like a conifer collector, so she has all kinds of interest. I mean, her collection, I don't know what, she's quite elderly. She gets a lot of help in the garden. I don't know what her plan is for preserving her garden, but I'm sure there's one because her collection is so good that this is not just gonna, they're not just gonna let this just get sold with the house. So I don't know how they're gonna work that, but it is a really important collection and it's a fabulous garden. And it is a garden that was on heavy, heavy, heavy clay, entirely amended with leaves. She goes around her neighborhood, well, she doesn't anymore, but she has people do it for her, collects every leaf in the neighborhood, piles it behind a leaf composting facility that runs the entire length of her, she put up a fence, 6-foot wide fence, so 2 fences, 6 feet apart, fills them with leaves. And you can't see any of it because they're solid fences. And she lets this turn into leaf mold, and then she brings it back into her garden, and her soil is amazing. And that is the only thing she has ever done to her heavy clay soil, and her garden is phenomenal. Anyway, once a year she has a plant sale, and I don't know if it's like for friends only or not, but that year we were invited to it, and that is one of the things I bought there. It does reseed a little bit. I have it over there too, and I always try to grab the seedlings because it's such a cool, I think it's edible too, but I grow it as an ornamental, and it's so cool. Here, let me zoom in on that. It gets big white flowers on it. Very cool. The other thing that we've just shown is, do you remember that last fall we planted 3 Hudson River clematis along this line here? And I put these stakes here so I'd find it. But there they are. They're all coming up really great. These are clematis that actually Brushwood Nursery sent these to me as a surprise. I buy all my clematis from them, and he sent me those as a gift, which was really nice. And these are going to ramble through here. So the stakes are not really there to support the clematis in any way. The stakes are just there so that I see them and don't lose them in there. For this next question, let's just take a quick walk, because I had mentioned in the quick spring tour video that I did, and I'm glad I did it. And I just want to say thank you, because you people are so understanding about what gardens really look like. Like, they're not always perfect. And I don't always like to show that, because nobody does. But everyone, you're all gardeners, so you're all able to sort of look past that and see the good. And it was good. It was really a lush, wonderful time. The daffodils are mostly have finished blooming, except for over in Roy's garden. But for the most part, now we're just dealing with ugly daffodil foliage around. But anyway, their question was, I had shown a plant that I said had kind of a hole in the middle and might need dividing. Well, I never got around to dividing that, and it's too late now. I may do it in fall if I remember, or early next spring. But it was shredded umbrella plant, which was also featured in a video I did this week with Austin Eyeshade, but let me show you what it looks like now. So this is what the shredded umbrella plant is looking like now. So you can't tell that it needed dividing, but what's nice about it is that I do love this plant, so I'll be able to divide it, but it's absolutely gorgeous. This is it pretty much fully fleshed out. It will flower, but the flowers are not worth bothering with, really. Tiny little things that stick up. They don't really offer anything, but the foliage is fabulous here. See this little tie-dye Trillium? That's what Trillium grandiflorium looks like as it ages. It gets tie-dyed and it's so cool. There we've got, I think that's Trillium luteum, the yellow one, and then over here we've got the red one. So, you know, gotta love them. The other plant in the tour that a lot of people had questions about, because I totally glossed over the name pretty quickly, I think, was this one. And a lot of people thought it was a ground cover, which if you're one of those people who thinks ground covers can be tall, I always question whether that, to me, people call ostrich ferns ground covers, and they're not wrong. They will cover the ground. It's just that they cover the ground at 6 feet. But it was Pygnanthemum muticum, which is blunt mountain mint, and this is that stand that I was showing you in that video here. So this is what it looks like now. So now it's about 12 inches tall, I would say. So it will get 2 feet tall, 2.5 feet tall, something like that. So that's what it looks like now, and that was the plant that a lot of people asked me about. This is actually I still have some of the seed heads here. This is sort of the dried seed heads, which I used for pea stakes in the vegetable garden. People who watch the Q&A videos, you guys get sneak peeks at other things. So one of those sneak peeks is right here. I want to show you, I did do some planting in the circle garden since you saw the video. This is what I decided to do in this corner, which is, again, this is like less sunny than the other ones, and so I didn't really know how to deal with it sun-wise. So I went with the cherry cordial surefire begonia. I love all the surefire begonias that I've tried. I think this one is new, and then I put in the diamond frost euphorbia between it. So I have my fingers crossed. I think this might be a super cool combination in this area. I liked those dark leaves, and then because all the flowering plants are behind them, which is the itea and the bobos, are white, I thought bringing in a little bit of white with the diamond frost might be good. I might pop in a few more diamond frosts, but like that's minor at this point. As long as we're here, we might as well address the biggest thing that came out of the circle garden video, which was the question of the unmatching Weigelas. So a couple of people thought it might not even be a Weigela. It's definitely a Weigela, and I'll show you. I mean, in addition to the leaves, which Weigela leaves, see, they're all bleached out now, but Weigela leaves have like really obvious veins on them. So same form of leaves. Also, these guys are blooming, so you can tell those are going to be Weigela flowers. In fact, here's some that are a little bit more advanced. So those are Weigela flowers. So we can dispel with the notion that this is something other than a Weigela. Whether it's midnight sun or not, we'll see. But let me show you this picture of midnight sun that I found on the Garden Crossings website, which sells Proven Winners plants, which looks a lot like that. Now, because these plants are bleaching out like nobody's business, here, let me show you them again. These are the ones in question. I mean, look at how badly these are getting just cooked in the sun. Like, do you see how they're almost turning white? And I think that's because they're getting super cooked in the sun. I think these were grown in total shade. I think these were grown jammed in amongst a bunch of other plants and didn't see any sun. And that's, I mean, because why else would they be getting, why else would they be getting just so bleached out like that? So I think they're sunburned right now. I didn't acclimate these plants at all because I bought these from a nursery that sells plants and shrubs outside. So there was no reason for me to think that these weren't hardened off. I don't think they were hardened off because look what's happening with the sun. I still don't really, I'm 50-50 on whether this is midnight sun or not. I will say this, if it is midnight sun, it'd be real nice if it would hurry up and start looking like midnight sun, because I don't like the look of this garden bed. I do have garden tours coming this year, and I would like these to start looking the way they're supposed to look sooner rather than later, because I don't think this bed looks very good with them like this. And I will wait it out in some way, but I mean, at this point, if I see three more midnight suns that look like the rest of them, I might pick those up and move these somewhere else because, well, I want this to look normal over here. I will definitely, don't you worry, we will watch this and we will see what it is. But given the picture on the Garden Crossings website, which looks a lot like these, I do think these are midnight suns. Back to the ostrich ferns. Somebody says, did you know that ostrich ferns are edible? Yes, they are. So ostrich ferns are, sometimes you'll see recipes for fiddleheads. So ostrich ferns, just when they're just starting to unfurl, you don't actually want to see any leaves like emerging out of them yet. It's just when you get the little curlicue. Those are fiddleheads and those are edible. I have tried them a couple of times and I don't like them, which is a bit of a shame given that I have a woods full of them. I can't, it still feels like you're just eating, I mean, it tastes like green stuff and then butter and salt, you know, I mean, and it doesn't do anything for me, unfortunately. Oh, let's talk about the other thing that a lot of people asked, which I also address, I think, in another video that's coming here. But let's go over here and take a look at this. So in the tour video, I mentioned we have this beautiful view of Lake Michigan right now through our neighbor's property, which you can't really tell it's lake right now because it looks, we're all blended in with the horizon because there's zero wind. But that's all lake over there. There's a little shot of lake over there, but really beautiful lake view through there. And several people said, why are you blocking that view? So here's the deal with the view, you guys. That view is going away. The cottage that you see there is one of two buildings on that property. There is a full house and that cottage. That cottage is getting moved west, probably within the next, I think in the next 2 weeks. And then the house is getting an addition on it that goes all the way past where the cottage currently is. So that entire area where we're seeing lake will be house. They're starting this year, it'll finish up next year. So by summer of next year, there will be no lake view there for us. There will just be a house. So that's why we're blocking that view, because there won't be a lake view anymore. But I understand that, like, why would anyone block that? It makes more sense in that context, I'm sure. The other question is people don't really understand, like, if our neighbor has lake property, how do we not have lake property? And another great question, because it doesn't make any sense. What you need to know is down here on these little like beach areas, it's totally random. There's the little roads here and there that don't necessarily make sense. They just sort of put stuff in when they did it. So the best way to describe this is that there are two roads that are parallel to one another. There's our road, which is over here to the west of me. And then there's another road that dead ends right to our east. And that services smaller houses that are right on the, like right on top of the beach, tiny little lots, very traditional. I mean, there have been some big houses built there over time, but they serviced very traditional beach cottages. And that dead ends in front of us. So we are the last house on our road that is not on the beach. All the houses beyond us do have beach property. We don't. So there's a row of houses between us and the beach. And it doesn't, and also that's why my neighbor's property is so much deeper than ours, because his is essentially a double width lot. And there were a few more questions in there, but one that kind of made me laugh was somebody who said something about my closet full of Patagonia, which I'm wearing again. This is why I always tell people, like, don't follow me for home decor advice, and certainly don't follow me for fashion advice, because I don't have a lot of sense in either department. And I'm definitely one of those people who finds something I like and then I buy it in every color. So I have like 7 of these, I call these woobies, but 7 of these fleeces and like probably just as many puffy coats. Okay, stay tuned. We'll come back here with postcard. Okay, we're gonna grab a spot in the shade for postcard time. This is absolutely gorgeous. Hi Erin, I keep seeing Chanticleer Garden mentioned on garden shows, so I looked it up and it is located down the road from my daughter's house. We spent the day there yesterday and it really is a magical place. Hope you get to visit soon. From Jan in Pennsylvania, Zone 6B. I'm so happy you found that. I think there are these little gems. Sometimes the gardens we don't know about are the ones that are closest to us. In fact, Burner Botanical Gardens is not far from me and I don't go there very often at all, and I probably should. I'm so glad you found Chanticleer though. It is, as I've mentioned before, to me the most inspirational garden that I've been to. Dear Erin, I attended Tulip Time in Holland, Michigan a couple weeks ago. I had no idea there were that many different sizes, colors, and shapes of tulips. The gardens were beautiful, people-friendly, and town easy to find on your way around. We had a wonderful time and would highly recommend to anyone who loves tulips. Thank you for your great channel. This is from Diana. She's in New York, Zone 6. Thank you for sending that, Diana. I'm so glad you went. Last year I was in Michigan 2 weeks before the Tulip Festival, and I was near Holland. I wasn't in Holland, but I was very close to there. And so the tulips were just starting to bloom, like, because everybody plants tulips, whether you're part of that Tulip Festival or not. It was fabulous. And a lot of people said, I can't believe you didn't come 2 weeks later. It never even occurred to me to try to plan my trip for that time. Hello, Erin. Greetings from this hidden gem in Portland, Oregon. As a Midwestern transplant, I love the pollinator meadow here. Thank you so much for all the education over the years. This is from Michelle. This is the pollinator meadow with meander bench at the Leach Botanical Garden in Portland, Oregon. Look at that bench. That's beautiful. I love these curves. Nigel Dunnett, British garden designer, makes these makes curves like that out of stacks of wood. And actually, I think Nick McCullough has incorporated a few of those into his own garden. And they're so beautiful. And I kind of thought maybe I should do one of those because they add this beautiful layering. And then a few weekends ago, we stacked a pile of wood and I realized how bad I am at stacking wood, which is an art form that I do not know. And I realized, oh, that will never work for us, at least for me. Oh, this is a gorgeous photo. This is another one from Chanticleer. Hi, Erin. I visit Chanticleer for the second time. Oh, I think this is, hold on, same person. No, not the same person. No, different person. This is from Karen. I visit Chanticleer for the second time with my daughter this past week. Everything was green and glorious following some much needed rainfall. I love the cutting and vegetable gardens. Yeah, the vegetable gardens at Chanticleer are the most, I think they're planted in diagonals again this year. The year that I went there was just 2019. They were planted in diagonals. They are neat as a pin. And of course, everything just looks glorious. So beautiful. This is the Waipio Valley. Oh, this is from Hawaii. Hi, Erin. This whole island is like a botanical garden. We were on the Big Island visiting my daughter. We have seen so much beauty. Giant ferns and fiddleheads, huge wild philodendron, banyan trees, orchids, pineapples. So many unique things, even a volcano with snow on top. This is from Gay. So it is amazing when you go to these places and you see, just like tropical plants to me are so wild and interesting because they look otherworldly. Anyway, Hawaii is gorgeous. And I really do think that I have the nicest group of, generally speaking, the nicest viewers that there are out there. So thank you for being really great people. Thank you for sharing your postcards and your inspiration and your gardens with me and with everyone else. And I hope you have a great day in your garden. And thanks for hanging out for another random, long and winded Q&A. See you soon.